According to Kyle Busch, he tried to give the fans what they wanted when he joined Richard Childress Racing this season because he asked to use the number 3 car in the Cup Series, which honestly would have been incredibly cool if it would have happened. Unfortunately, the conversations didn't go past asking the Earnhardts, who, according to Kyle, were like, no thanks. So instead, the number then stays with Austin Dillon. Kyle Busch takes over the 8 car. Listen to what he had to say last week when he was at a Michigan dirt track and somebody asked him about it.
Yeah, no, that was certainly a little bit of a topic of conversation. It died really quick when I talked to the Earnhardts about it. So they were like, yeah, no. I think it would have been a cool deal. It would have been really awesome, a lot of fun, and we've won 3 times this year, so put that number in victory lane like that would have been cool. But that's especially at Talladega, right? But nah, I'll take the 8 and make it greater than what Junior had.
It would have been cool to see Rowdy take over the Intimidator's famed number 3 car because he would have taken it to victory lane at least 3 times already this season, including Talladega, and the people of Talladega would have absolutely rioted in the streets, and they would have torn the place down like it was Dale Jr. winning in the early 2000s. That place would have gone absolutely insane. Not to mention that Kyle Busch, having the 3 car this year, already taken it to victory lane 3 times, would have taken it 75% of Austin Dillon's win total up to this point, which is actually really funny when you think about it. It took Kyle Busch exactly 16 races to win 3 times at RCR, and in something like 320 something starts, Austin Dillon's won 4 times. Handing that 3 car over to Kyle Busch would have done a lot in terms of merch sales, just because if you think about it, Kyle Busch has a legion of fans. There's a ton of people that are Kyle Busch fans. Kyle Busch going back to Chevrolet and away from Toyota because people have this weird anti-Toyota mindset. It exists, and it exists massively because Kyle Busch now gets claps. He gets cheers at the racetrack, something that apparently just absolutely astounded Carl Edwards. When he was at Darlington, he's like, when did this change? Having said all of that, Kyle Busch taking over the 3 car with his legion of fans, with all these new Chevy fans that are like, Kyle Busch isn't so bad, we love Kyle Busch. They would have sold so much merch. They could have created one of those. Growing up, I think everybody had one of those Lincoln Kennedy comparison, placards or plaques on the wall or whatever. Your parents probably bought one out of some dumb magazine or some postcard that came to the house. You've all seen it. You know what I'm talking about. If not, I'll put it up right here. This feels like a very 90s, early 2000s thing to talk about. Regardless, they could have made one of those for Kyle Busch and Dale Earnhardt. Total wins, total championships, Xfinity wins, top 5s, blah, 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 because they both drove the 3 car. That would have been pretty cool. Unfortunately, it never got to happen, and instead they're going to keep Austin Dillon in that car, which kind of is whatever. He's been in the car now since 2015, so it is what it is, but Kyle Busch taking over the famed number 3 car would have certainly been something that got people talking. Also, Austin Dillon kind of getting demoted out of that car and moved into a different car well into his career would have been kind of odd, considering he did run the 3 cars through the trucks and the Xfinity series, so it kind of has been his number in a weird sort of way. But moving him over to the 8 or the 33, which honestly that's what they should have done, was put him in the 33 or bring back the 29. Why not? We just have all these dead numbers out there. Just bring them back that, once had past champions drive them and put Austin Dillon into them. But Kyle Busch in the 3 car would have been very cool. And of course, in typical Kyle Busch fashion, he had to get a jab in there at Dale Jr. And he said that it's fine. He's going to take the 8 car and make it greater than what Dale Jr. had. I don't think that's going to happen. He might win more than Dale Jr. did, or at least have a better win percentage with that number. But what Dale Jr. and Budweiser did in their time together in the 2000s is something that will never be replicated in terms of brand identity with one single driver, and the amount of merch that they moved and the amount of product that they likely sold is unmatched. And I don't think we'll ever touch that again, because consumable products don't exactly sponsor NASCAR teams like they used to. At the end of the day, though, Kyle Busch seems to be having fun. He's laid back. He's running dirt. He's doing all these other things. That's good for the sport. What really, comes down to it is Kyle Busch being out there more. Kyle Busch being a part of RCR, weirdly enough, now is better than it was for the sport than when he was with Joe Gibbs Racing. He's the face of that franchise. Well, face of the franchise. He's the face of that team now. And it's better for RCR. They're making, well, I shouldn't say that they're making more money, but they are able to attract sponsors because of Kyle Busch. So I guess the biggest question now is, if Kyle Busch did take over 3, would fans have been happy with that? I know they definitely would have been happy that it got away from Austin Dillon, because there's so many fans out there that don't think that Austin Dillon deserves the number 3, and that's up for debate because it comes down to personal preference. Personally, for me, it's just a number, so it doesn't really mean much, and there's a lot of people watching NASCAR now that don't really remember Dale Earnhardt racing, right? Like 2001 is 22 years ago at this point. It's a long time for a lot of fans. There are certainly still some of us that were around. I was a child, but you still remember it. However, that memory for a lot of people younger has certainly started to fade. So Kyle Busch taking over that number would have been really cool just from a nostalgia standpoint, seeing that car go back to victory lane on a consistent basis in the Cup Series. At the same time, though, would fans have been happy if Kyle Busch took over Dale Earnhardt's number? There's a lot of people that think the 3 should be retired, the same way the 43 and the 24 should have been as well. I don't necessarily agree or disagree with that, but would you have been happy if Kyle Busch took over the 3 car? Like and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on TikTok at BreakHard, Instagram, Twitter, and Threads at BreakHardBlog.